Tell me what your life was like before you died.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1952. Growing up, I had an awesome life. My mom owned a bar and grill across the street from Ebbets Field where the Brooklyn Dodgers used to play. And she used to take me to games on game day because even when I was very young, I was probably about 5 years old. I remember being at the pennant games and everything. It's amazing how you have these memories, flashbacks. I could see it right now. And it was also amazing that all the Dodgers used to come into the bar. So my mother got to meet all of them, Gil Hodges, Sandy Koufax, all these great Dodgers of the past. So it was quite an interesting life growing up in Brooklyn. I was believed to be very spiritual. I mean, see, my dad was away a lot, and my brother Peter and I were very close. He was a lot older than me. He actually was the one that, he took me to all the ball games, my practices for Little League. He took me to the circus when it came into town. He was 30 years old when he passed away. I was 15, and he passed away of this cancer that came on him so quickly. And all of a sudden, after he went into the hospital, they told us 3 days later that he has 3 or 4 months to live. And it was heartbreaking. I mean, it was heartbreaking. You talk about getting close to God then. I remember, oh my gosh, praying and praying. I'm Christian, so I was born and raised, Roman Catholic. I was devastated because, don't forget, like I said, he was the stand-in for my dad most of the time when my dad was out of town, and we were so close. The passing was so hard, and the pain he went through was unbearable in those days. They didn't have the kind of medicines they have today and everything. So he went through a horrible death. Now, in 1973, I moved down to Miami from New York, and I was already now a commercial artist working for a company called Triad Studios that used to do work for Benton and Bowles in New York. I became a commercial artist, and I was doing the ads for CoverGirl, a young man on the board, with just about a year experience. And my wife and I decided, well, we're going to move down to Florida because we had our honeymoon down in the Bahamas. And when I got down there, being young at the time and not knowing about, we didn't have internet like we have today. We have no computers, no anything to do investigations on. I'm just thinking that Miami is a big city. And I come to find out when we got to Miami, beautiful place. Miami Beach is all built up, but the city of Miami in 1970s, early 70s was very small. So what happened is real quick, I found out I couldn't get a job very easily. Thank God my wife did. But I wound up becoming a paramedic. So in 1981, now after being a paramedic for about 8 or 9 years, I wound up becoming a merchant. And that's how I wound up getting into my own business. And I sold jewelry and watches, and I did trade shows all over the country, and I traveled the world. So this was 9 years later. It was like a prophecy to come true. It just happened. But we're in Tucson, Arizona. Now I'll give you the story. Tucson, Arizona, it's 1994. Now I've done this show already, Alex. I've done this show for probably 5 years so far. It's the biggest gem and mineral show in the world. And people that sell jewelry are there also, like I was. I sold sterling silver and watches. And every year in February, that's a cold and flu season. So you picture this, we're at the biggest show in the world. You know how convention centers are when they have shows? The rooms are completely filled. Well, not only the convention center was filled, all of the major hotel rooms and hotel ballrooms in the city. Every hotel ballroom was filled with vendors, but there was terrible virus going on. And the third day, people were coughing since I was there. And the third day, the lady across from us in another booth, she just collapses and falls to the ground. And then my old paramedic skills kicked in, so I ran over and I was, trying to make her comfortable. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I just wanted to make sure her airway was good and she was breathing properly until the paramedics came, So the paramedics came and picked her up. So I was fine up until that day. It was the fourth day in the morning when I woke up. My throat, Alex, was so swollen, I could barely breathe. And the pain was excruciating. Now pain's throughout my whole body. It was terrible. It was like having a really bad flu type of thing. So I go into the show, and my people I have working for me take one look at me and said, Bill, you got to get yourself to a doctor or the hospital or something. So I said, I think you're right, you know. So thank God I had them to work there, because they kept the show working and open. And I went to the hospital, and the hospital was so busy. The emergency room, Alex, it was like packed. So evidently a lot of people were coming down with this, and they asked us if we, go to different, medical setups in clinics around town, medical clinics. And I went with a small group to this specific clinic in Tucson there, and they took a look at me and just put me on a gurney and pulled me right, and they hooked me up with IV solution. So I was low on everything. They said I was dehydrated. My oxygen levels was they were horrible. They said they were bad, so they had to bring my oxygen up. And I was there a long time, because they put me on at least, I remember 2 or 3 bags of IV. And during the time they had me on the IV solutions, they was injecting antibiotics into in the solution bag, the terminal part there. They didn't know what it is, like I said, so it might have been bacterial at the time. They couldn't identify it. It was too quick. It came on too quick. And none of the hospital people even knew what kind of virus it was or bacterial thing. After several hours, my oxygen levels came up. I could breathe a little better because they had me on the oxygen, so I felt a little better myself. And they gave me an inhaler, and then they gave me a bottle of pills, and they said, well, go back to your hotel where you're staying and just rest up. And that's exactly what I did. I went back to the hotel and I rested, and they told me to start taking the pills about 6 hours, because I had antibiotics in me already. About 6 hours later, now it's in the evening, I popped the pill. I could barely breathe, so I'm laying down, I'm having trouble breathing, but I finally fell off asleep. And Alex, that night turned into a night of light and love. It was magnificent what happened. This is one of the most profound near-death experiences. I know you probably heard a lot in your time, but I remember exactly how I left my body. I left my body through my eyes. And it was magnificent, because I left my body. I seen myself leaving my body in this beautiful, glowing, fluorescent green mist. It was magnificent. It was like the color of life itself. That's all I could explain it as. But the glowing green mist was magnified to a point where I can't even explain here. I would say if you took a neon light and magnified that 100 times or 1,000 times even, that would be the color. It was so brilliant. And I was part of this mist. And now I'm hovering over my body, looking down upon myself, realizing that is my body now at this time. Now, I hovered for a while. I remember looking over my body and just looking down upon it. And then all of a sudden, my spirit recognized that body has no life in it anymore. And once I remember saying that, in my mind, this beam of light comes from behind and comes right under me, and it just turns me. I didn't turn. I don't remember turning. It instantly turns me. And this beautiful gateway opens up in front of me that's magnificent, and I'm just pulled right into it. I could do nothing. I mean, it had full control over me, and it brought me into this magnificent tunnel. And now I'm moving now. I'm moving faster and faster, and the tunnel's made up of these beautiful, beautiful, magnificent colors. And the faster I move, I'm feeling love and embraced like I've never, ever felt in my life. It was a completely different kind of love. The love kept getting stronger and stronger. I almost felt like I was being cradled, like if you were a child or an infant. I was being protected, I know that, and taken care of on the way home. And I'll never forget my arrival, which I'll call heaven, because that's our home. That's home to me, and mostly everybody, I believe. I said to myself, over and over again. I'm in this beautiful illuminated place. There's spirits all around me. I felt in my mind, and I'm going to say in my heart, even though I didn't have a body at this time, but I felt they were family and friends. And I'm saying, I'm home. I'm finally home. Thank God I'm home. I recognized it as home. That's where I came from. That's someday where I'm going back to. And all of a sudden, I hear this whisper in my ear, I'll call it. This whisper saying, Bill, yes, you're home. You're home in the light of God. And this is the first time I hear another voice. And now I'm actually communicating. The communication was unbelievable. Everything is telepathy. And it's wonderful because your mind opens up and expands on the other side. There's so much expansion. I think that on Earth, we use maybe 5 or 6% of our capability of our mind. Well, when we're on the other side, because we're light beams of beautiful light, that's what we are. When we're on the other side, I believe we use 100% of our mind and senses. And the being told me, this beautiful, gorgeous angel, my guide, she said, I'm one of your guides. You have 3 guides. My name is Antonia, and I am the one that came in to get you, to bring you home. And I realized at that point that I didn't realize she was with me in the tunnel coming home or anything, but she says, I was with you all the way. And now for the first time here, I'm communicating, and this family and friends, I'm communicating. The communication is all with telepathy. You feel and hear exactly what people are saying to you, and you speak back to them, and it's beautiful. And then she explains to me that, Bill, you have 2 other guardians. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice. Alex, it's my brother Peter's voice. Now, my brother Peter's voice, I recognize. I grew up with that voice. Now he's standing in front of me in this beautiful light. Oh, he's standing in front of me in this beautiful light. And he said, Billy. When he said Billy, it was like my whole being melted into his. It was wonderful. I felt tears come down my eyes, even though I didn't have a body no more. And the feeling was magnificent. And he says, Billy, this is time for your life review. I didn't know what a life review was at this time. I was perfectly fine where I was. I was home. I felt like I'm part of this light now. It's magnificent. And we just whisked off to another plane. And this plane was magnificent. And all of a sudden, it felt like they were showing me all the good I've ever done in my lifetime.